Hi, welcome back to season 3 of Brave Projects. My name is Victoria Comstock-Kershaw and I'm your host, and I'm here with Paula Parole. Where are we?
Hi, I'm Paula. Thanks for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me.
So this is my first solo show called A Promise is a Spell, and it's co-curated by Faunchar Project and Display Fever, and the space belongs to Faunchar Project. And
And what a space it is.
it's actually the apartment of the curator.
Oh, just gorgeous. If you are listening to this podcast, open Spotify and just have a look at where we are, because it is such a stunning setup. I would love to kind of dive in before we get into this amazing show. Tell me a little bit about yourself, about your practice. How did this solo show come about?
I'm originally German. I moved to London around 5.5 years ago to study, and I stayed here. And now I'm like 2 years post. No, actually, it's more. Oh gosh.
I know, I feel
years
old
after
every
my-
time I think about, I graduated high school 10 years ago.
my God,
That's so
yeah.
scary to me.
Oh my God, me too. No, actually, I graduated from my BA 10 years ago, I think. Yeah, so it's been
Time
a while.
flies.
Yeah. I stayed here after I finished my MA, and I had a studio here and just worked and tried to survive in London, which is already a kind of a, adventure itself.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I had a lot of group shows and I was waiting for my first solo show for the right moment. But you have to wait for it. And then it came with one of the curators, Naz, who runs Display Fever. She did a group show together with another curator, Gigi. And Naz came to me after that and told me she would really like to do a solo show with me, which is also her first solo show with Display Fever. And then she found the space, which is run by another curator, so they both co-curated it. And yeah, she's doing Faunchar Project. She has this amazing flat where she basically makes use of it by running shows in it, and it's perfect because my work is a lot about domesticity and womanhood, and I feel like when I saw it, it was a perfect match. So I was like, okay, let's do it.
Love at first sight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk a little bit about the themes of this show and your work in general. You talk about womanhood, childhood, domesticity, which obviously is great for a space like this. Walk me through a little bit about how you came to have that as your sort of main theme and motif for your practice.
I think that I was when I started out with art so basically I have a background in filmmaking. I wanted to become a director first, and I was always really interested in narratives and I don't know, but already in my movies that I did in my BA, I did movies about personal experiences in one way or another. So it was already back then a lot of like self-fiction and auto theory, which, yeah, it doesn't matter which medium I work with, but it always comes back to that because essentially that's what I know and that's what I can talk about. And I feel like a bit like a fraud if I would talk about something completely different that is not really, that I don't really have an idea about. So I take inspiration from my own experiences, and I'm a woman and I had a childhood.
And we were all children once, yeah.
Exactly. So it's not like it's nothing crazy, but it's just some stories that and emotions, some things that kind of moved me, that I went through, and that I make work about. And maybe this work helps me to kind of find closure with these things.
Yeah, I mean, one of the main sort of themes, or I guess kind of anchors for this show, is storytelling, obviously, but specifically fairy tales. I'd love for you to talk to me a little bit about that and how that sort of shaped your approach to the artwork that you made for this show.
So I really like symbolisms, and I find that in a lot of old storytelling and mythologies, like the Greek mythology, for example, there's so many beautiful metaphors, and it's so rich in symbolisms and so dramatic. And also with fairy tales, which is something we all kind of been raised with in one way or another. It's really interesting to see how we form our ideas and belief systems very young, with these ideas of, you know, what we should strive for. And fairy tales, as a German myself, is something that's very anchored in German traditions, especially the Grimm fairy tales.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah, they're German, absolutely.
Yeah, which is obviously a extremely brutal but also entertaining form of fairy tales.
Absolutely. We were
Merry
speaking
tales.
about this very merry tales, but the original Grimm brothers stories are sometimes like really horrifying. Like I think in the original Little Mermaid, she kills herself at the end. In Cinderella, the stepsisters like cut off their toes.
Oh yeah, lots of blood.
Yeah. It's very, like you say, brutal. It's so interesting to see how we've kind of like softened these retellings.
Yeah, I mean, they are meant for children, and I mean, it's good that we soften them, I guess. But,
of course.
But it was also to threaten children in that age and to show them, well, if you're not behaving this way, this is going to be the consequence.
Yeah. And I'm interested in how you think that interacts with gender, because obviously there is this, you know, the perfect woman is very passive in fairy tales. I'd love to hear about how that has sort of influenced the way you've approached this show.
Yeah, I think that's also a subject matter that comes back in my work, that there is this passivity that women often experience, because in the fairy tales, for example, the prince kind of always, I mean, it's about her finding
absolution.
salvation.
Yes, that's it. Solace.
The solution is always that she's being married, or she finds happiness because of the prince, and she's always like object to whatever. Like she is not in self-control basically of her life choices, kind of. And obviously nowadays a lot of these fairy tales have been reinterpreted, and there's a lot of like feminist approaches.
Yeah, I remember the Snow White one. People got really angry at the actress because she said, by the way, this is like an insanely sexist story, so we're trying to renew it. And people got really angry at her for that. I remember. I thought it was such a shame.
People get it's very personal in some strange way.
I guess it goes back to, because it's such an intrinsic
it's something you grew up with. It's like,
this is I formed my values on this. You can't attack it.
It's like, no, don't tell me the Santa Claus is not real.
It's exactly that.
Yeah. I think this like passivity is something that is just ingrained in our society, and it goes really deep in so many areas of life, and also sometimes we don't notice it ourselves. And I feel like I'm not trying to morally make a statement or something with my work, but it's more like I'm trying to reflect on myself, like how I have my own biases, and how maybe I have, because I've got fed these narratives of like, you know, looking for these certain things that expected of me, that I also subconsciously do that. And I'm trying to dissect, okay, what do I actually want, and what is expected from me, kind of. And it's sometimes really hard to distinguish because it's such a gray zone often.
Yeah. Do you feel like you use art as a sort of like self-psychoanalysis tool then?
Yeah, I think so.
It's kind of, I mean, we have also spoken about this, it's so difficult, like you say, to dissect where our own desires and our own ideas about life and society come from, because, you know, some of it must be innate, but also so much of, like you say, what we've grown up with is inevitably going to like rewire the way that we approach things. Especially, yeah, the idea of the man being the ultimate savior. It's not, you know, of course there might be some innate desire to find companionship and to end your life with someone that you've known for 50 years. But how much of that is also coming from media that you consume as a child and stories that you're told and like things that you see on television and books that you read.
Of course.
I love this piece so much, the one that's next to us, which is this glorious papier-mâché horse with these spikes along the saddle and along the, I mean, it's a rocking horse, so along the handles as well, which to me is very much, it's, I guess, a reconsideration of the white horse narrative. I'd love for you to talk a little bit about it.
Yeah, so this is my wonky horse. It's like probably the most ugly rocking horse ever to be seen. But I guess, you know, when I went about doing it, I thought, okay, it can be really, really wonky and very sort of not perfect, because it's kind of, this is kind of how it is, you know, when you grow up. Reality is very different than what your fantasies were as a child, and I called it How to Sit Straight. And papier-mâché itself is, as a material, incredibly primitive in the way that it's not really used as in galleries, art,
quote unquote fine art.
Yeah, it's just.
No, it's
just papier-mâché, and it's very cheap, and
it's childish as well.
Childish.
I think some of the first art projects I did as a child were with papier-mâché.
Me too,
for sure.
exactly. And and the rocking horse is, as you can see, has like this saddle with thorns, and I mean, this is like a thread of symbolism that I have put throughout the show, which is something I quite like, because the thorns is something plants have to protect themselves from, you know, from people ripping them, and it's a defense mechanism, essentially. So in a way, having them around the children is also kind of protecting, or maybe also protecting the ideas and the fantasies, the dreams you have as a child, and this world, which I think is something that I'm also really trying to hold on to sometimes. And yeah, and then also the disappointment that comes with when you grow up, that life just turns out to be very different.
Very different, yeah.
And much more unfair than you maybe thought it would, and maybe, yeah, just not exactly what you expected maybe. And here, you know, it's just pretty much the horse turned pretty much into like a little hostile toy where the prince should not sit on, or anyone for that matter. And also on the handle there's like stitching needles, so it's quite defensive as well. Like maybe also trying to keep that fantasy together, or also like at the same time, because it's an adult size rocking horse, it's a bit of like a warning sign to like your inner child, like
it's like this is what you get, unfortunately.
Yeah. And then if you look closely, you know, there's also like a lot of the newspapers is not covered, and there's like pieces of newspaper from the Epstein files.
Yeah, I mean, it's odd how accidentally, or maybe it's not odd at all, how topical this entire show is. Because firstly, we're on a bed, and Tracy Emin has just opened at the Tate, which is very cool. But yeah, the Epstein files, I think there's just more and more stuff coming out every single day, and it's more and more cartoonishly evil. It's kind of, and we were talking about it earlier, like
very fairy tale.
Yeah, it's like
Grimm's.
Like surely not. Like surely they're not doing the thing that, like, you know, evil stepmothers are doing in stories, or like witches are doing in stories. It's like, no, they are doing that, and it's very neat that the text that comes through on this paper mache is it's the X scene, but there's words like worried and embarrassment, and I think that's
guilty pleasures.
Yeah, I think that's very. Tell me a little bit about that and about how that kind of relates to like childhood and growing up.
I really like working with text. I think it's quite nice to have also titles. I really like titles because it gives the viewer a little bit of like anchor points to build a narrative around the things that the viewer sees. And it's a bit like a puzzle, you know, you can like take different words and then you build your own narrative. But obviously when I did the show, the whole news was filled with Epstein and it was perfect. I was like, okay, this is meant to be. It's just like
things like line up.
Yeah, it just lines up so perfectly. And yeah, it's also, the show is also about like a lot about childhood and growing up as a girl and consent and like how also the thorns like protecting these girls in a way, which and that like the anger and the rage is something that I really feel with this Epstein cases where
absolutely.
Like there's no consequences.
And
it's just like
redacted.
The world is just so unfair.
Yeah. I mean, I'd love to go back to this idea of titles and thorns. There are 3 smaller figures that are just sort of close-ups of children looking slightly distressed, and they've got these wonderful red thorns. And then we've got the huge one behind us, which is a child sort of looking at the viewer and kind of screaming, and again with these thorns. Tell me a little bit about the namings of these things, because I love what you've done with this.
So I started with her because I wanted to have like a big like statement piece, and I saw the wall and I loved it, and it was like, okay, this needs a big painting, and then it just developed into a series of these angry children, angry girls, and I called them after female attributes, which are also names, very like old-fashioned English names. So there's like grace, there's
Prudence,
patience, mercy, and this is temperance. So obviously the facial expression is like the antithesis to what they're called, and it's also, the idea is like, you know, breaking out of that, and also maybe the inner child to step out of it and to step out of the
narrative that's been
that you have to like kind of always fit into what you expect it to be. Like you have to be patient and nice and smile and be polite and you know, and dare to disappoint, which is also written on one of the pieces.
Yeah.
Which is like, I feel like, because I don't know, I feel like growing up, I had a really beautiful childhood, but I feel like often what I try to do with my work is trying to remind myself that I'm allowed to step out of this, and I must dare to disappoint.
Yeah.
Because we get conditioned so much to please, and that's something I just always tap into, this pleasing, and I'm really good at it, and it's also, you know, it's very bad for myself in the end of the day, you know.
No,
but
absolutely.
I think a lot of women have that, and yeah, it's just a reminder.
Yeah, no, it's very conditioned. I think that also comes across in your choice of materials, because we've got paintings, we've also got sculptures. Can you tell me a little bit about how you approach this on, like, I guess an interdisciplinary level, because this space just works so well, and I'd love to hear how you kind of came up with the idea for using sculpture as well as painting, because there's also this fantastic papier-mâché cage which is writing on the bottom, and we have a swing made out of brass, and the seat is made out of a horse bone, which says "We all die alone" on it. I mean, it's just so many. And the horsehair on the horse sculpture is your grandmother's. I mean, it's just so many different materials and mediums. I'd love to hear how you kind of broke out from painting to go, okay, this is like also going to help.
Yeah, I think in my practice I always did painting, but I always was really interested always in mixed media and materiality, and that starts already with my work having these frames which are a bit quirky, mixed media frames, and because I have so many different like styles and use a lot of different languages, I guess. It really helps me to bring them all together when I use a lot of this mixed media framing, or break a bit loose from the painting subject. And I just really love materiality. So I think when I saw the space, I felt like it was a pity not to do any sculpture, because it's like an old warehouse loft, and you have to do something with it.
The like capital O object needs to be included.
So I wanted to do works, wall-based works, but also from very early on, when I saw the space, I knew I wanted to do sculpture. And the bed was here because this is where the curator sleeps, and I asked her to integrate it, and she had no problem with it. She was like, go wild. Generally that was really fun, the process of making the show, because it was, I could do whatever I wanted to do with the space, and that was very freeing. So I kind of displayed a form of fantasy childhood room with a swing and the bed and the rocking horse and a cage.
Like a nursery.
Yeah, a bit like, Also, like, how as a child you do like pillow fighting.
Yes, so there's feathers all over the floor, which also relates to the cage.
Exactly.
This idea. Actually, birds are a really big motif. You have these gorgeous like little pieces along the wall here.
Here's one as well.
Oh yeah, there's one. And that, can you, why the bird? I guess the metaphor is like obvious, but it's very powerful.
That's also what I like about combining like the realism and the realistic painting with this very traditional symbols, like a bird. But it's, the bird came up because I was thinking about childhood and about like the transitioning of becoming an adult and growing up, and then the cage as like the nest where you grow up, and then you have to leave the nest, and it's very uncomfortable. And often, even if you leave the nest, you're in another bigger space. So this is also what I liked about the space, and the idea of, because the cage is open, that the birds can't really escape outside. You're still in a bigger kind of cage. And, you will always kind of try to get in a bigger one. But
it's very like Lacanian, right? Like that psychology of never being able to escape the big other. Like there's always going to be another limitation or like societal pressure beyond the one that you manage to escape. I think you feel that a lot in this show. I'd be really curious to know, so this was work that you made for this space. When you start an artwork, how aware are you of like what it's going to look like? How much of it is kind of intuitive, or like, are you already kind of like, you have an idea in your head and you're like, okay, it has to look like this? Or how much do you kind of let it change as the artwork goes on?
I think it really changes a lot. The most difficult part is always when I'm thinking about what to do, and then I often rework pieces. So like I start something, then I put it away, and then it really helps to get distance to it. And then I see, oh, it actually would be really fun to, I don't know, put newspaper over it, or to cover it with oil pastels, or I don't know, but like sometimes it just needs to sit a bit, and then it kind of, I feel like then it kind of talks to me.
No, nice. Yeah. Like it tells you what direction it wants to go in.
Like some of the works I did like years ago, and I rework them. I'm like, oh, actually this fits perfectly in what I want to. And then I kind of, I don't know. It's interesting. Some works I just don't feel it with them at the moment, and it's very intuitive. And then some others I'm like, okay, it's done. Like done. For example, this one I did it like very quickly and very spontaneously. Because I feel like painting, like portrait painting is not very easy, but and you can fuck it up really good.
yeah, for sure.
And it's just like, oh. And then, you know, I did it and I was like, okay, that looks good. And now we're gonna do something uncomfortable.
Yeah. It's like, okay, I've reassured myself that I'm a good artist. Exactly. Now time to push the boundary.
You gotta fuck it up.
Like, let's see what I can do with this.
Exactly. I think it's also really trying to go to your boundaries and stepping out of their comfort zone.
Yeah, do you have any advice for other artists that might be looking to do that, to push their own boundaries? How do you push past what you already feel comfortable with?
Just trying different mediums. I don't know, try to use a different surface, for example, to start easy. But also, it's very cringe in the beginning, and you feel like, oh, it's horrible, and you're like, hopefully nobody sees this. But you have to try it, and I don't know, I feel like it's with every other thing in life. You just need to go for it and do it, and then eventually you arrive there. But it's all a journey.
Yeah, you've got to free yourself from the tyranny of cringe.
Yeah,
you've got to like push past that.
Yeah.
No, I get the same with my writing, where I'll start doing something and I'll be like, this is the worst thing that anyone has ever done, and like if I die right now and someone hacks into my computer and sees this, I'm gonna like come back and haunt them. And then you kind of you push past that discomfort and you're like, oh god, I'm a genius.
Yeah.
This is the best thing I've ever made.
Yeah. And sometimes it also, like, even if you hate the piece in the beginning, or you're very insecure about it, sometimes, maybe not hate it, okay, but if you're insecure about it, sometimes it's great also, you know,
you
like
learn
this
from it.
It's you see it half a year later and you're like, oh, this was actually a really good work, and you were very insecure about it. It's like you're losing your eyesight when you're like so involved with it. So it's really important to step away sometimes.
Get rid of the tunnel vision.
Yeah, it's also really important to have like people to show your work and talk about it, because I think some advice and some feedback can be soul crushing, and you should not talk to these people. Like, stay away. Like, it's really important to have, I don't know, a few people you can trust, who know you, who know your practice, and who also kind of, you know, who you can trust that they think you're good. You know?
Yeah,
because
exactly.
if it's just negative, then no, it's gonna fuck you up.
They want you to succeed, so you know that anything they say is not said with like malice or with the intention of getting you to stop. It's to get you to make things better or even better than how they already perceive it. How was, I mean, this is your first solo show. How did you find it changed between having like from doing sort of group and duo shows to then going solo?
I think it's much more fun, but also much more challenging, because you have much more space to fill, and you can rather than just having one piece or two pieces which are maybe not really related to that show, or maybe like, you know,
you've got to get the press release has to do the work
like,
of being like, this is how it relates to the theme.
Exactly. You're not invested as much, and if it's your solo show, you're like, fuck, okay, this is gonna be like, I have to really deliver. So there's a lot of pressure on it, and the pressure is really dangerous as well, because it makes you feel like, it makes you freeze as well, and you're like, I have to show this is now the moment when everyone's gonna look,
pay attention to me.
Exactly, and then it has to be really, really good, and this perfectionism is not very helpful in the process.
How do you overcome that? How do you get over the desire for it to be exactly perfect?
I think you need to just work on it. I think for me personally, I just need to have a lot produce and just be in the studio, like because otherwise if I feel like, okay, I've only like a few weeks and I just have to make this and this and this, and you have to give yourself time to also for failure, and also to throw overboard the whole vision that you had. And I think for this show I had like 2 or 3 different visions, and so it was like the beginning is so difficult, and once you're in, you produced a few works and then it's rolling, and this is the best. That's the fun part of it. Before that, horrible.
Before the flow state.
It's terrible, yeah. I'm in such a bad mood. I'm like, it's like, but I think that's it's probably in every creative medium, also for writing.
Oh, yeah, definitely. No, I mean, like I say, there are moments where I'm just like, why did I not become an accountant? Like, this is the worst thing I've done.
Yeah.
And like, what projects have you got coming up after this? Are you resting on your laurels? You have, of course, the Filthy Fox Auction Club, which is, tell us a little bit about that. Such an incredible initiative. I love it so much.
Thank you. We have the Filthy Fox auction coming up in the 21st of March. It's our 5th auction, and it's a really nice project that I founded with a friend of mine, Ala Hochgürtel, and we founded it like 4 years ago together. And we basically do an art auction every year where we introduce around 12 to 14 artists who graduated recently in London. So we really specialized on that, because we were like, okay, we have to somehow focus on it, otherwise it becomes too much.
No, you need a limitation.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a really fun sort of introduction into buying art from emerging artists who we think are really good and who we really believe in. And it's like a win-win situation, because we have friends and friends of friends who have been coming to our auctions, and they understand the concept now, and they're like eager to see like new artists who they can invest in a very early age or a very early point in their career.
I mean, it is such an interesting transition period, that like post-grad. I mean, we were talking about like pricing, for example. It's so difficult when you're a new artist to know how these things work. Like with Filthy Fox Auction Club, what have you found has been the sort of biggest challenge in terms of like convincing people and convincing artists that early career artists are kind of worth it? Have you found that's been difficult to like convince people, or has it been a little more collective?
Obviously, it's like in the beginning, people, I think the most important for us was that we have the trust of the artists, because I think, if you don't have that, then you don't have anything. And for us, it was, I'd noticed when I was at art school, it's so incredibly hard if you finish art school and you're just like, okay, now we enter the art market.
You're just cut off.
Like,
you're just left to float in the ocean.
And like,
it's
where do you
crazy.
start? It's so difficult. And also like selling work is something a lot of the art schools don't tell you how to do.
They don't
and
teach.
not at all. And it's very like hush hush, we don't talk about that.
Don't talk about
part.
money, because money is so separate from art. Like it's like it's seen as vulgar to talk
Yeah,
about
a
money,
bit.
which is not a good thing for artists, because it just keeps artists from
No,
being able to do what
exactly.
they need to do, which
Yeah.
is earn money in order to keep making art.
Yeah, and I think we just saw there's like something missing, there's a connection missing, because there's such incredible talented artists, and there's also a lot of people who are interested to buy their work, but they don't know each other, and then they go to some
Sotheby's or whatever.
not even Sotheby's, because that's not the audience
true,
per
yeah,
se. Because Sotheby's is also very intimidating, and or like big blue chip galleries. Like a lot of friends and friends of friends who have some money to buy art, they don't per se have that kind of money, but they have money to invest in our artists at that point. So it's perfect, and they are growing to become collectors. They start buying a work here, and then they really like it, and a lot of them, I proudly can say that a lot of them bought their first artworks on our auction, and now they're like starting to collect art.
That's so good.
They're really, it really opens a new window.
Yeah, you're overcoming that like
Yeah,
immediate
the barrier between that, and there's so much trashy shit out there, sorry to say that.
No, exactly. No, and it is unfortunate. A lot of the initiatives I have seen that are directed towards getting people on the ladder of buying their first artworks, it is, I'm not going to, no, I won't, but it is, it's shit. It's bad art. It's poorly thought out art. It's art that costs too much for what it is another thing, where it's kind of like, these very cheaply made, and regardless of like the whole idea of art being subjective, it is cheaply made prints being sold for like 500, 600 pounds. And it's like, you did that at the print warehouse in Brixton. I know exactly where you made that done. You got it done for 30p.
Yeah, but it's...
How dare you then sell it to, and people presenting these buying opportunities as like, oh, this is how you become a collector, and it's bad art, and it's kind of implying that people that don't make a lot of money only deserve bad art, which is insane to me. Like, it kind of does the opposite of what it should be doing.
A lot of times, like for example, affordable art fair is not very affordable.
No,
like,
no,
it's not. It's just not, and it's just falsely advertised. And there's so much more interesting and more important areas where you can support artists. And I think especially, I mean, obviously there's also a lot of really good artists who didn't go to art school, but we just, because we went to art school, we were like, okay, there's so many like pioneers in that area that we wanted to support. And it was just like, okay, let's build a bridge, let's start really simple, and it just started really small, and then it just grew, because it was like,
now you're on the BBC, which is really exciting.
Oh my god, let's see about that.
Exciting. So what's next for you in general, like in your own practice? Do you have any other shows, or are you just going to focus on your work? What's next for Paula?
First, I need a little vacation.
Yes, well deserved.
After the auction. But then I would, I don't know, I just have a new studio, because believe it or not, all of these works are made in the tiniest studio you can ever imagine.
No, you said that the horse took up most of the space.
It's like ridiculous how I was working in that space. Like... and like
just like gently nudging around
paint, and it was horrible. It was a very bad experience, and I told myself, okay, this has to change. I have to find a new studio. So that's very exciting. And then I don't know, I think there's some things hopefully coming that were opportunities I made or I'm making through this show, because it was really nice to show my practice in a more holistic way.
Yeah, I mean, you've had so many groups and people come through here. You had the dinner with Jago Rackman, incredible chef. I think that's also a really nice, and kind of works again with this sort of the ethos of Filthy Fox, this approach of making art feel comfortable and,
Yeah.
and homely and,
Yeah.
and not some
Not
kind of like
threatening.
white. Yes, yeah, it's like terrifying.
Only for the
white
few,
wall.
like, you know,
Absolutely,
like, accessible, I guess.
It's like I feel like I have to wear my turtleneck and my big black glasses
Yeah,
to come to a show. Like, no, I want to be able to come and like sit on a bed and talk about the work.
Yeah. No, that's really nice, and I think, I mean, that's also what we all work on, and hopefully can make it more comfortable.
Yeah, I want to see more stuff like this this year and in the coming years. Well, thank you so much for talking to me. Where can people find more of your work? You're on Instagram.
I'm on Instagram, of course, and
Aren't we all?
it's like a luxury not to be on.
I
Instagram
know.
as
My
an
God, I
artist.
have so much respect for people that can't do it, that don't do it.
Yeah,
like I've tried,
I
can't do it. It's so bad. I've rewired my brain.
Yeah. So yeah, you can find me on Instagram, Paula Parole at Paula Parole, and I have a website,
of course.
And yeah.
Amazing. Well, thank you so
hopefully
much.
I will advertise upcoming shows on my Instagram. But Filthy Fox is gonna happen with a really nice bunch of artists. 21st of March, Saturday in Stoke Newington. Come along.
Gorgeous. Stokey. We were saying all the cool kids are in Stoke Newington now. Oh, well, thank you so much for talking to me.
Victoria. It was
check out.
A pleasure.
Yeah, no, I love this. I love this show. I love this space. So please check out Paola's work, check out Display Fever, check out Fantrol Projects, and check out Brave Projects. I've been your host, Victoria Comstock-Kershaw. Thank you so much for listening.